Hello and welcome to my channel if this is the first video of mine that you are watching, but if it is not, welcome back. Today, as you can tell by the title, I'm going to be talking about some summer reading recommendations. I have 7 books in particular that I'd like to talk about today, and they're all contemporary romantic comedies, which I think are quintessentially a great summer read. This video idea actually came about when a friend reached out to me a little while ago and asked me on behalf of their coworker for some contemporary rom-com recommendations because their coworker hadn't had the chance to read for the last little while, and I got so excited to compile some recommendations that I figured, why not turn this into its own video? Contemporary romances are something that I have really only recently gotten into over the last couple of years, I would say. Much more often, my romance reading tends to lean towards fantasy or historical, but over the last couple of years, I've really been enjoying reading some contemporary romances, so I'm excited to talk about 7 of them today. But first, because this is a summer themed video, I thought it would be appropriate to make a margarita as my cocktail pairing. So this here is a watermelon and lime margarita. I have some salt on the rim there as well as a few lime slices, and it is absolutely delicious. I will often blitz up some frozen watermelon with lime, rind and all, throughout the summer just because I find it to be incredibly refreshing. And to make this a cocktail, I just added in about 1.5 ounces of tequila, and it is the perfect ratio. About a cup and a half of frozen watermelon and then 1.5 ounces of tequila with about 1/4 of a lime squeezed in and some salt on the rim. So with my perfect summer cocktail in hand, let's dive into the reading recommendations. And the first one right off the top is Summer Reading by Jenn McKinlay, because I don't think I could create a video named Summer Reading Recommendations and miss out on including Summer Reading by Jenn McKinlay as the very first recommendation. I read Summer Reading quite recently, and I found it to be a really enjoyable, quick, easy, fast-paced read that's perfect to read on the beach or beside the pool. And it does flip a few tropes on its head because we do have a very bookish main character, but it's actually our male main character, Bennett or Ben, while our female main character is the one who doesn't really like to read very much. She has dyslexia. She really struggles with reading, and she fibs at first to Ben, pretending that she loves to read. And it led to some really sweet moments between Ben and Samantha, our female main character, where she explained her experience with dyslexia and how it made it difficult for her to read. And Ben was just so adorable, and then he read to her, which was just its own really cute thing that I adored. There are themes of grief that run throughout Summer Reading, and I will try and identify all of the more difficult themes that run through these summer reading recommendations that I'm going to list, just in case it's not something that you feel ready to pick up just yet. So there are themes of grief throughout Summer Reading, but I found it to be still an enjoyable, fun, quick, fast-paced read that I absolutely flew through. It takes place on Martha's Vineyard, so you do have that fun atmosphere and setting of being a beach town next to the water, and our main character does go to the beach a few times and just enjoys listening to the waves. The next book that I would like to recommend is another Jenn McKinlay title, and you will sense a theme throughout this video where several authors appear a few times, but this McKinlay title is Wait For It. And while this book does begin in Boston during the winter, our female main character, Annabelle, quickly moves out to Arizona, where we get that sun, poolside warmth, summer vibes. So I think it still fits within the summer reading recommendations category. But Annabelle ends up renting a guest house on Nick's larger property. And we have the grumpy sunshine trope with a landlord and a tenant, because our romance does begin to blossom between Nick and Annabelle. In terms of themes for this book, Nick is currently using a wheelchair because he had a stroke a year ago, and he has a mental block that is stopping his progress and stopping him from retaining all of his physical range of movement. So there are themes of resilience and courage and overcoming fear, which I absolutely loved. As well, there is an appearance from a little tuxedo cat that Annabelle takes in as a stray. And if you know me, you know that I absolutely love tuxedo cats because I have 2 of them. But this, again, very quick, very fast-paced, and it just had those summertime vibes that I really enjoyed. There is a misogynistic character at Annabelle's new office, so he's kind of the villain of the book, so those bits kind of made me humph as I was reading it. But overall, a really fun, quick book to pick up this summer. The next contemporary rom-com that I would like to recommend is Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade. And this book is perfect for anyone who loves the fandom culture or fan fiction, because that is really at the core, at the heart of this book and subsequently this whole series by Dade. In the first book, spoiler alert, we follow Marcus, who is the star of a Game of Thrones-like TV show, but he isn't happy with where the production is taking the adaptation of his favorite book series. So he turns to fan fiction and assumes this online persona to write out where he thinks the series should really be going. We also follow April, who is a cosplayer and another member of the fandom community online. And one day she posts a photo of herself in cosplay as one of the main characters. But because April is plus sized, the amount of abuse she faces after posting her photo is just horrific. Marcus sees this, steps in, and offers to take her out on a date. The date between the 2 of them doesn't quite go very well, but they do agree to a second date, and then a romance begins to blossom between the 2 of them. However, Marcus never owns up to his online persona, so that is kind of a big part of the book. There's a little bit of miscommunication. There is some fat phobia that April faces from being a part of this online community, as well as being a part of the public eye when she starts dating this TV star. And because of April's weight, the relationship that she has with her parents is a little bit strained. So those are the more serious topics within this book, but if you are someone who adores fandom, I would highly, highly, highly recommend this romance book to you, because I just found it to be such great fun. The next book that I have to recommend is the sequel to Spoiler Alert, All the Feels by Olivia Dade. And while it is not necessary to read Spoiler Alert first, I always feel a little bit iffy recommending the second book in the series to someone, and I do think your experience is heightened and improved for having read Spoiler Alert before All the Feels, because we do see our main character Alex appear in that first book too. But All the Feels follows one of Marcus's co-stars, Alex, who has gotten into a little bit of trouble and has gotten into a fight, which has caused the production company to hire someone on to keep him in check and to keep him out of trouble. That person is our female main character, Lauren, who used to be an ER therapist. So she has a lot of PTSD from that occupation, as well as, again, she has experienced fat phobia from those around her because she is also plus sized like April. Watching Alex and Lauren's relationship develop was so heartwarming. And if I remember correctly, Alex has dyslexia, but it isn't something that he talks about openly. And watching him gain the confidence to speak about that and advocate for that was just, oh, I loved watching Alex's character grow and develop and flourish alongside his relationship to Lauren. It was just so sweet. As well, the timelines for spoiler alert and all the feels do overlap. So if you plan on reading both books, I would recommend reading spoiler alert first. Throughout the book, there are references and themes of the bullying that Alex has faced because of his dyslexia, as well as the fat phobia and bullying that Lauren has faced throughout her life. There are also references and flashbacks to domestic abuse and domestic violence. So those passages are quite difficult to read, but overall, All the Feels does have a theme of being uplifting and hopeful, and again, just overcoming the challenging aspects of life to follow down the path that you want for yourself and you want for those who you love. For that reason, I think it makes a good summer reading recommendation. The fifth recommendation that I have for your summertime TBR is actually the first cowboy romance that I ever read. And I just recently read the sequel to Done and Dusted by Lyla Sage and absolutely loved the second installment in the Rebel Blue Ranch series. I think that's the series name. But I would highly recommend Done and Dusted. If you even have like a slight interest towards horses and ranching and the big outdoors, I found it to be a really fun romance. We follow Clementine, or Emmy, who is a big horse racer, but she is running from her past back to the hometown that she always thought she would escape from, back to her hometown, back to her family ranch, after an accident left her unable to get back on the horse and ride and overcome that fear. And we follow Luke Brooks, who is her older brother's best friend, and he was always around when Emmy was growing up, and they hated one another. But that line between hate and lust is very fine. So when Emmy returns back home, there's this instant attraction between her and Luke. So in Done and Dusted, there's that enemies to lovers aspect because they used to hate each other so much, as well as a little bit of forbidden romance because Luke doesn't want to cross any lines with his best friend's little sister. And watching the two of them just decide that what they were feeling between the two of them was worth all of those risks was just pure entertainment. I really loved this book. It takes place in Wyoming on this gorgeous, massive ranch. And I just found all of the characters to be really lovable. As is the case with a few other recommendations that I've spoken about today, there are themes of grief woven throughout this book from a parental loss, as well Luke's familial situation, the home that he grew up in originally, isn't the best. So watching him face that was really difficult and a little bit heartbreaking, but again, overall, the message of Done and Dusted is being willing to take that risk for someone special. It's a message about hope and overcoming the obstacles in front of you. And for that reason, I really loved this book. Then finally, before I dive into my 2 final recommendations, I do want to mention just a few honorable mentions because these authors seem to be appearing on absolutely every summer reading recommendation list this summer, and that is of course Abby Jimenez and Emily Henry. I do know Abby Jimenez balances the light and the dark very finely. She writes about more difficult subjects like infertility and organ donation and grief. It's a really big theme in some of her books, but they all take place in kind of summertime hopeful settings. So if you're looking for a book that's gonna tug on your heartstrings but hopefully leave you feeling more hopeful than defeated, definitely check out some of Abby Jimenez's writing. And then Emily Henry is another big rom-com writer at the moment. I think it's Beach Read on hold from her through my local library, and I'm really excited to dive into that book. She also writes a lot about books, which are really popular at the moment because who doesn't love reading about reading and books and all of that fun stuff. My penultimate summertime reading recommendation is going to be Red, White, and Royal Blue because I don't think I can compile a list of contemporary rom-coms and leave this book off that list because it was my favorite contemporary romance for so long. All of the other books on this list have been female-male romances, but Red, White, and Royal Blue, if you don't already know the plot of this book, is a male-male romance. It is enemies to friends to lovers as we follow Alex, who is the first son of the President of the United States, and Henry, who is the prince or one of the princes of England. And they get into a little bit of a tussle, so they have to start a fake friendship online in order to pacify both sides of the Atlantic. But of course, their fake friendship develops into something a little bit more, and it's just such a heartwarming read. In Red, White, and Royal Blue, we have that epic declaration of love in the pouring rain. We have them tenderly corresponding via emails across the Atlantic. And we also have them dealing with the pressure of trying to come out while being very public figures and also having the pressure of states of government kind of just thrust on their shoulders. There's a quote in this book that is basically to the extent of, sometimes you just need to jump and hope that it's not a cliff. And I just adored this book. I adore Alex and Henry. I find this to be such a heartwarming, comforting read. So if you have not read Red, White, and Royal Blue, I would definitely recommend that you pick it up. And there's also the movie that came out last summer, I think, which was really well done. And we're getting a sequel. So now is a great time to pick up this book and read it if you haven't yet. And then finally, but by no means least, I have another McQuiston recommendation, and that is The Pairing by Casey McQuiston. This is coming out on August 6th, and I will have a reading vlog up next week with all of my thoughts about The Pairing, but I think this is the perfect summer beach read. If you like second chance romance, I think you'll really love The Pairing. We follow two exes who have been broken up for 4 years, and then they both book tickets on the same European food and wine tour. They make a silly bet to see who can hook up the most while they're on their tour to prove that they're no longer interested in one another. But of course, that is not the case. The Pairing is a gorgeous story about beginnings and endings and being willing to begin again. And it takes place in some of the most beautiful cities across France and Spain and Italy. So look out for that reading vlog coming soon. But the too long didn't read is that I would absolutely recommend you pick up the pairing after it comes out next month. So those are my 7 summer reading recommendations. If you have read any of these books, please let me know down below. I'd love to chat about them. And if any of them have made it onto your TBR now, let me know as well. But for now, thank you very much for watching this video, and I will be back soon with a new one. Cheers.